Hi guys, I'm Kristen. This is Kristen is Fully Booked. Welcome and welcome back to my channel. Today I have some really exciting news. In the month of August, I'm going to be hosting a month-long read-along for one of my favorite books of all time. We are going to be reading A Song for Arbonne by Guy Gavriel Kay. I'm sticking with my alliterative titles and we're calling this August of Arbonne. Now, this is a read-along that I have kind of been planning for a while. I have been wanting to do a reread of this book. It is a book that I have read countless times, and for the last year I've been eyeing it, wanting to get to it, but it was never a top priority. I also feel like there are so many people who don't know where to start when reading with Guy Gavriel Kay, and yes, my Where to Start with Guy Gavriel Kay video is still coming. But spoiler alert, this is one of the best places I think people can start, or at least it's one of the places that I think people can start with Guy Gavriel Kay and have a better probability of really liking the book, whether or not you are someone who goes on to enjoy all of his other works. I think this is a little bit of a crowd pleaser and is going to be approachable and enjoyable for the majority of readers who pick this up, especially if your reading tastes are a little bit like mine. I also feel like unless you are a diehard GGK fan and have read all of his books, it's probably less likely that you have randomly or spontaneously picked this book up. So I feel like it's going to be a first-time read for a lot of people. Now, before I tell you a little bit about what this book is like or what it's about, I'm going to start with some of the details and logistics for the read-along first. Now, this is going to be a whole month-long read-along over the whole course of August. We are going to be chatting about it in a Discord. It is a newly created, a Discord that is being created right now. So I don't have the link for you today, but by August 1st, it will be ready. So just come back to the video later on, closer to the date. The link will be added into the details down below where you can join. So we'll be talking about the book on the Discord over the course of the month, and then we'll also be doing a live show with some guests at the end of the month when we have all completed the book and we can just gush, I'm expecting, about the masterpiece that is A Song for Arbonne. There are about 4.5 weeks in August and 4 parts of the book, which is absolutely perfect. So we are going to be breaking this down into sections, and I'm going to recommend, or at least we'll talk about, or I'll mostly be focusing on different sections of the book over the course of the month. The book is actually split up into 4 parts based on the seasons. So it's spring, midsummer, autumn, and winter. There is a prologue and an epilogue, but both are fairly short. Each section is about 100 pages. Autumn is the longest at almost 200, and winter is a little bit over 130-ish, something like that. So I think 100 to 200 pages, pretty reasonable over the course of a month. I don't think that this will be that difficult to follow along with and to keep up with everyone over the course of the month. So just to go over those dates really quickly with you, we will start on Monday, August 1st. How convenient. It was it was meant to be. Anyway, so by the end of the day on Sunday the 7th, ideally you have read up until the end of the spring section. Then from the 8th to the 14th, we'll be reading Midsummer. From the 15th to the 21st, yes, I have to look at a calendar. I can't just spit out numbers like this. From the 15th to the 21st, we'll be reading Autumn. That will be the biggest chunk. And then from the 22nd to the 28th, we will be reading Winter. Now for the live show, there's a couple options for the date and time. So what I'm going to do is we're just going to do a poll closer to the date on the Discord where we're doing the readathon, or where we're chatting about the readathon, because I know that I'm in a Central European time zone, and I suspect a large proportion of you are going to be in North American time zones. So that might take some finagling to find a time that works best for all of us. And it will either be that Monday right after the 29th, I believe that is, when we've finished the 4 sections, or maybe we want to give people a little bit of time and we can do it the following weekend. However, that following weekend will be Labor Day in North America, so I'm not sure how you guys feel about that. Anyway, there'll be a poll, we'll do a live show. Those are really all of the logistical details that you need to know about. Make sure to come back later on to click the link to follow the link for the new Discord where we will be chatting about this. I will definitely be talking about this more in future videos, so I will be able to, send you to that location at another time if you forget to come back. Now let me tell you a little bit about what this book is like. Guy Gavriel Kay's books are all sort of historical fantasies. He picks a very particular period of time and he explores the religious, the political, situational, and like cultural situation of what was happening there and then. So this one is very obviously influenced by France in the 13th century. In particular, it is inspired by a specific religious crusade that was happening at the time, the Cathar Crusades. In this world, there are a few different countries, but in particular, we're focusing in on 2 countries. In the south, there is Arbonne, and here it is woman ruled. It is all like wine and poetry. There are troubadours who are so important to their culture, and they have a different religious belief than their neighbors to the north, the Cohortians. so smooth. Cohort is very male dominated. It's a patriarchal society. It has a different, like, male-oriented religious belief, and there is a lot of religious and political conflict between these 2 places. And this is a multi-POV book. However, our main protagonist is very clearly Blaise, who is originally from Cohort, but at the beginning of the book finds himself living in Arbonne, working as a mercenary, like training different lords' soldiers to like be better soldiers. And with circumstances, of course, Blaise begins to get embroiled into the politics of Arbonne and the impending conflict with Cohort. Now, if you have ever heard that Guy Gavriel Kay doesn't write women well, I give you a song for Arbonne. This is some of the most strong female characters you will ever read. He does write them very historically accurate in a sense that often they don't have a lot of agency or power, but he writes strong women who use the agency and power and strengths that they do have to have significant impact. And this is the book, I would say, where he is the most successful, where the women are the most prevalent and the most politically pulling strings, especially because in Arbonne, it is ruled by a countess. The overall tone of this book is extremely bittersweet. This is like a love letter to the culture of Arbonne, or like to the culture of the Cathars, and the patriotism and love for country and culture that the people, or that the characters in this book have, is honestly like so enrapturing. Like, it catches you right up. Yes, there are troubadours. Yes, there are like poems or poetry and songs, but they're really beautiful. It's actually like a little bit less sexy times than some of his other awkward books, even though you would think this would be more. There's a femme fatale, there's a high priestess, there's like a suave but desperately melancholy, sad player, troubadour slash duke, lord? I don't remember. There's the countess, there's like a high priest who's horrible, there's a horrible king, there's like so many characters, so many amazing characters that we follow in this book to round out the perspectives that give you like this whole inclusive sensation of being fully immersed into the world and the culture and life of Arbonne. Oh, and a songwriter as well. We follow like a female songwriter in this world. There's so many great characters. This book has so many of my favorite singular moments in books, in particular like one of the best mic drop scenes you will ever see by an old man, and it's amazing. It is also really sad. A lot of the characters have really kind of heartbreaking backstories, and even like for a short book that's under 500 pages, or at least my copy is like 506, for a book that is relatively short, for a standalone, I don't know if I mentioned standalone fantasy, for a book that is relatively short, we get so caught up with the characters in this book that you feel everything so intensely as you learn about their backstories, as you learn about their history, as you discover secrets from the past as they boil up. It is so bittersweet, it is so beautiful, it is just the perfection that is Kay's ability to highlight a culture, to show its flaws, to be honest about culture, but also to show you the beauty and the strength and like what this particular culture was like in all of its, heightened glory. Now, fantasy elements are actually pretty light. There's like a little bit of like a mystic, religious kind of element. Honestly, the fantasy elements are very, 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 very minimal in this one. So don't go into this expecting like big magic systems. That's not the case. But it is beautiful, it is atmospheric, it is so bittersweet, I sob every time I read this, several different occasions. There are secrets, there are betrayals, there is heartbreak, there are fight scenes, there are love scenes, there are quiet, subtle, beautiful moments in the middle of the night. It is just everything. It is perfection. Like, this book is perfection. Please read this book with me. That is it. That's all I would say. I'm sure as I'm editing this, I will think of more things that I wish I had have said to convince you to read this book with me. But there's a car backing up. I forget what I was in the middle of. I don't know why I waited and didn't just restart this. Okay, my neighborhood is starting to get really noisy, and so that is obviously the sign that I should stop gushing about this book and just remind you once more to read this book with me, starting in August. August for Arbonne. If you have ever wanted to read or try out GGK, honestly, I think this is a really good starting place. It's not the only starting place, and I will, of course, tell you more other places to start in my Where to Start with Guy Gavriel Kay video that is obviously going to be made at some point. But this is my favorite Guy Gavriel Kay book. It's one of my favorite books ever, and it is a really great place to start with Guy Gavriel Kay. If you are joining me, or if you want to join, let me know down below. If you read this book before and you want to do a reread, join in. I will see you guys next time. Have a great day.